Mm-hmm. Rah. Good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning. What's really going on?
What's going on?
Hey, hey. Hump day.
Hump day.
Get up, get your body moving. You know what it is. First Sky Omaha radio. First Sky Omaha in the morning.
In the morning.
Yes, sir.
Huh.
Yes. I was listening to a little Morris Day last night. So you have to forgive me if I get real cool on you.
If you let the cool out a little bit, release the cool.
Yes, you know, gigolos get lonely too. What time is it? You know what it is?
We don't believe in the concept of time.
Say again.
You know we don't believe in the concept of time over here.
Hey, that's why we always asking, what time is it?
Now.
So once upon a time called now. What's really going on? Hey, Wednesday, September 7th, 2022. Man, time is flying.
2-2.
As it does. Lucia Rodriguez gives us a good morning. What's going on with you over here on YouTube? Appreciate you. This is the first time this ever happened. The first two good mornings are coming from YouTube.
That's what I like to see.
What's up, Rome's Review? Said, come on with it. What's happening?
The mayor.
The Mayor Sanchez. We're delirious this morning, bro. We ain't slept. You know what it is.
Yeah, man. Tired, boss.
Boss, he tired. Brother Omar Valentine says, morning, fam. What's going on with your brother?
Hey, peace.
Appreciate you joining us this morning on this Wednesday, September 7th. Shout out to the 630 crew. Tell me how the mix was over on the radio channel. First Sky Omaha in the morning is going down. Brother Manor says, I have to wait for your pops to post before I... See, that's respect right there. That's respect.
Yeah, respect your elders.
I have to wait for your pops to post first before I say good morning. That's what's up, brother Mark. What's going on? You up early in the morning too? I saw your you already did your record posts and everything this morning. So
okay,
turned into an early bird, bro. That's what happens to us when we us Generation X cats. We be up all night in 20s and 30s, and then now we up at 5 in the morning like some crazy people.
Nah, man, you're not crazy. I'm trying to get there. I want to get there. Like the ideal thing is to wake up at like 5. You know, get a morning routine going. Get your day started off on the good foot. Make sure your sinuses and chest is all cleared out. Make sure your skin is exfoliated. You're all meditated and teed and coffeeed up.
I hear that.
Before you attack the day.
I hear that.
Ideally, it doesn't necessarily work that way.
And not to mention, like that don't necessarily mean your day. Your day you can do all that at 9 o'clock just as easy as you can at 5. It just depends on the work. Yeah. Morning is the morning. Time is an illusion. Von Chapman says, good morning with some sunshine. What's happening, Brother Chapman?
Hey, let it in.
Mark says, oh yeah, I love my mornings. Yeah, man. We only got a few of them left that is not going to be hitting with a bunch of snow and craziness. So,
man,
enjoy. Hump Day, Wednesday, September 7th, 2022. We call it Women's Wednesday.
Hey.
We are expecting to be politicking. I am delivered.
Hey, get ready to get delivered.
Women. Oh, shoot. Pops in the house. He says, when you get my age, you're sure up between 1 and 3. That's what, look, you know, the way it is now is I take a nap. I get up, I do some stuff. I take another nap. And then it gets around time for bed, and then I'm up.
Yep. I'll be honest. I learned the hard way because that's how Mama God, that's how she rolled. You know what I'm saying? So I'll be at home, might be playing the video games. Next thing I know, I hear pots and pans. I'm like, Mom, it's 3 in the morning. What you doing? What you doing?
She like, it's 3 in the morning. What you doing? Put that video
Right,
game
right,
on.
right, 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 right.
It
She
is.
got
It
doing
is.
some kind of project, something around the house.
Thanks for joining us on this hump day. We are expecting to be politicking with Pete today, but we might not be because she is in D.C. at the moment, from what I
Doing
understand.
the thing.
Carolyn Jack in the house. What's up, Purple Fam? She says naps are the best. Yes, you ain't lying. You don't know what I was doing. I used to fight him when I was a kid, boy.
Man,
Woo.
call it the siesta fiesta around here.
Come on, bro. That's what it is. Everybody in my household got to take a nap. There's got to be several quiet times during the day. That's just all there is to it. But this ain't one of them because you're live with us right now. 7-0, whatever it is.
That's a nice
concept of time. Yep. And thanks for joining us. We are live right now on Facebook, on YouTube, on Twitter. If you're on Facebook and you're live with us, do us a favor and share the show so we can get as many people talking as we can. You know what this is? It's a community conversation about the stuff that's going on here. And yeah, so we're happy that you're here and up with us very early in the morning. How you feeling over there, buddy? You good? You ready to go today?
I'm all right. I'm excited. I'm excited for today's show. Are we finding out what's good in the hood? Is that?
Oh, that's a good question. Yeah, Kimmer Snipes was good in the hood, so we will see if we have that on lock. You know, it takes us a couple times to really kind of like
get in stride,
get the schedule together. Right. So
yeah.
This week is on the schedule. We'll see what's happening with that. Did not make any confirmation calls this morning or anything like that, but we'll see.
Yeah. So looking forward to that, seeing if that happens. But also just looking forward to hearing what was going on over your weekend. It was Labor Day weekend. We did not do the thing on Monday. So yeah, let us know how was your Labor Day. What'd you do? Did you throw anything on the grill? Any shrimps on the barbie?
Bro, did you go to Afro Fest? That's the real question.
That was my next question. Let Omaha World Herald tell it, and it went off in a proper way.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I'm mad I couldn't go. I got exposed to somebody with COVID on Friday, so I had to quarantine all this weekend.
Did you get your results? Results?
I did another home test, which I don't really trust. I'm not trusting them home tests anymore because that's the reason why I was in that meeting was because that person took a home test and said they were negative, and then the doctor's test said they was positive. So like, but I took a home test last night. It was negative. I'm gonna hit the Walgreens or something like that and check. But I don't think I caught it. So but you know, when you expose to somebody, you're still supposed to go away for a couple 3 days and figure out who caught it. But yeah, man, that means I missed everything. I missed Amber Ruffin show. I missed the Afro Fest. I missed all the stuff that went down this weekend.
All the haps on Saturday.
Back in the dang house.
Man, so yeah, let us know. Let us know. Did you fall through? Did you make it to any of the haps that went down over the weekend? It's definitely good to hear that, Afro Fest is growing and going well.
It's big time. It's big time, man. It's probably the biggest. Like I can't imagine there's a bigger African celebration in the Midwest than here. There's got to be that. If there's Africans in other states around, they got to be driving to this.
Mind you, again, if I'm not mistaken, Nebraska is supposed to have the largest South Sudanese population outside of the South Sudan. If I'm not mistaken, like it's a lot of South Sudanese brothers and sisters that have relocated to the Omaha area, and that's just one of the many African countries represented at Afro Fest, man. So definitely shout out to everyone involved with that. I'm trying to think what else went down over the weekend. Oh, I talked to Papa God, talked to Pops, and then he was telling me about shout out to White Rhino. He told me the situation down at the mall went off quite nicely as well. Shout out to R Style. Heard they got down.
Yeah, man. My fan went to the Lovin' Fest out there in over there in Midtown. What's the park name over there? Yeah. So they heard some jazz. They got to get down with some jazz. My sister posted some stuff. They were playing. Somebody was trying to play some Always There. I was like, Pops. They were trying to play the Ronnie Law's version. Wasn't sounding all that great to me, but it went down. It was some jazz. They have jazz on the green in that same area too, and it's very rarely jazz anymore these days. But they actually have some jazz over there. So shout out to Love 'em Fest. They always do a good job every year. So yeah, that's what's up. Mark Manor says I stopped by the happy hour at Highlander and really enjoyed it. Met Vargas Precious and others for the first time. Okay.
Okay. For the first time. That's nice.
Yeah.
That's nice.
Yeah, man. Yeah, Tony Vargas been making the rounds, man. I saw we posted a video on Friends of First Sky Omaha. Thanks to one of you first Skyers that hit me to that, and we posted that Tony Vargas was at Barnado over the weekend too, doing some speech. He was out there for his birthday actually, and got up and said a few words. So, yeah, he's making some moves, man. He's very public right now.
Happy belated, Senator Vargas.
Yep.
So yeah. I was well. I guess you just told us your weekend was uneventful in the house.
Man. I'm in the house, man. You know, after the first quarantine, I'm just like, man, come on.
Yeah. But I mean, anybody who has, still a thing. Anybody who has been exposed or may have possibly been exposed, yeah, definitely don't just worry. I'll say this: if you're not really feeling any symptoms and you take a home test and you don't really get anything, I feel like you should be cool. But if you having some symptoms, you don't know, then you take the home test and it's negative and you still having symptoms, definitely see a doctor.
Like I said, bro, that's what I was thinking before. But like I said, this person got off a plane and then was like, I'm cool and I got no symptoms. I'm gonna take a test just in case. It came out negative. She ended up positive. So you got to go extra hard on that, and go ahead and go to Walgreens or whatever and get that test that they got to send to the lab, and you got to wait till the next morning to get the real test.
Man, do the real thing. You get what you pay for. That's follow the money is the thing. You get what you pay for.
There you go.
Yeah.
Hey, in the chat real quick, Vicky Young says, good morning, good people, with some sunshine. Good morning to you, Vicky Young. Pop says, hey, any always there is good to me. I was cracking up. I sent Brooke a message that said, Mom was probably sitting there going, this song again. I've been having this song in my head all my life. Mark Manor says, I just signed up for the new booster going in tomorrow. The new booster is for this new strain, right? Is that what it is? I heard that after you get it though, you should be good till the end of the year. That's what they say. So,
what did Calla say? Another one.
And another one. Stacey Jean says, good morning, First Sky Omaha family and friends. And Lauren Lynette says, I went to the Copacabana for Style and Sticks. Great event. Okay. That's what's up. I missed one up here too. Somebody up here said, Lanessa Nessie Baloo says, good morning. Good morning to you as well.
Hey.
New name. Okay. That's what's up. Well, it is getting into the day already. So let's go ahead and jump in and talk about some of the things we're going to talk about today, just in case we do need to make room for the guests that come in.
Yeah, there are actually several things to discuss. But before we get into that, I do want to remind the people that, I will be touching down. I will be in town. Next episode will be live from Omaha. So definitely looking forward to that. Kind of talking behind the scenes about making something happen. So, stay keep your eyes and ears open. And if we can make it happen, definitely looking forward to seeing all the listeners and chat chimers and everybody out there, man. So it's going down. It's going down. But speaking of going down, yes, we do have a lot to discuss. We've been keeping a close eye on this situation as far as what's going to pop up on the ballot coming up in November. Not just, again, the races, not just the open seats, but also some ballot initiatives such as the voter ID, minimum wage petitions will be making their way to the November ballot. So we'll be talking about that. Again, there were some questionable tactics around the signature gathering and the petitions of the voter ID situation. So we'll definitely talk about that. Also, we're all about freedom, being able to say what you want to say around here, which seems to be at the center of an issue in Grand Island when a school paper was shut down. So we'll talk about press freedoms being under attack, especially when you take in consideration some of the pressures and activities going on in schools across the country. Again, this is actually an article out of Omaha World Herald, Protect Nebraska Children, which is an organization that's emerging as a political force in cultural battles over schools. So I would definitely have to talk about banning, censorship, and things like that popping up in schools. It's a real thing. It's a real thing. Also, a real thing, poverty. Shout out to Leah Cates, Princess Leia, as we like to call her around here. Still doing the work for the Reader. Big shout out also to our partners at the Reader. This latest article actually posted on our Friends of First Sky page. This is your brain on poverty, looking at Omaha, which is actually one of the sites in a nationwide study on how poverty affects child brain development. So we'll definitely look into that. And also, Senator Cavanaugh, speaking of the children, speaking of the babies, is now calling for a fraud investigation into St. Francis Ministries. I don't know if you remember several years back, actually, that big news story broke about the child welfare contract with St. Francis Ministries and all the hullabaloo surrounding that. So yeah, we're gonna talk about that and more for the next. Yeah, man. It was $60,000 in baseball tickets.
Hey, she's getting ready to battle the Ricketts with this lawsuit. So
Man, it's going up. So yeah, we'll be talking about that and more. Of course, we're expecting some guests. So jam-packed day. Let's go ahead and get this thing rolling. Paul B, Buddi3 Da Gawd. 15 minutes into the hour. All of you chat chimers, ghost listeners, first and last time listeners. It's a whole love affair. Let's go.
what up? Good morning. You're listening to First Sky Omaha Radio. First Sky Omaha in the morning. Paul B, Buddi3 Da Gawd, all of you, the chat chimers, everybody who's joined us, the ghost listeners, everybody who's listening through. If you're coming in on Facebook, do us a favor and share the show on Facebook. We want to get as many people talking as we can. Also, if you're over there on YouTube, which I see Brooke is, good morning on YouTube. Appreciate you. Says it's that's a good place for you to do all that liking and subscribing and all the stuff that you know about doing over there on YouTube. And also spread the news. Tell a friend. We're trying to grow our audience on YouTube as well. This is, for those of you that are just joining us, a discussion show for us to talk to you, members of the community here in Omaha, Nebraska as a whole. We look at the news articles and check out stuff, read between the lines, and talk about what we want to do about some of these issues that are coming up in our neighborhoods and so on and so forth. This is Women's Wednesday. We are hopefully looking forward to a visit by Precious McKesson, Politicin with P, and also from Kimera Snipes, seeing what's good in the hood. But we don't have any confirmations yet, and we do know that Precious might be in D.C. today, so we'll be on the lookout for them. But if they are, in the meantime, definitely want you to stay and support and get your questions ready for them if they happen to come through today. So in the meantime, between time, it's me and Buddy. It is all of you. It is Star Trek Rich and the Weatherized crew. It is Augie Kidd. It is Michelle Troxclair. It is everybody who is still on the squad here making First Sky Omaha happen on the front lines and in the back rooms. So thank you very much for everybody who is part of that squad, and thank you for all of you who get into these conversations with us. That's what's happening. That's what's happening is the conversation. So can't do this without you. Appreciate you being here, and let's get it rolling, buddy. What's on the agenda?
Man, well, let's kick off with this situation. Is actually editorial from the Lincoln Journal-Star, man. This situation going on out in Grand Island, Nebraska. Again, First Sky Omaha. We're all about having the ability, having the platform to say what we want to say. We're all about First Amendment rights. Even if we don't agree, personally with what you're saying, we agree with the concept of being able to say what you want to say, as long as you're not defaming or attacking or, spewing libelous filth about someone else. Then, we're all for it, which is why we definitely have to talk about the situation again going on in Grand Island when students, mind you, students' voices are being limited. Again, in the latest snub to student journalists' First Amendment rights, Northwest School District officials in Grand Island have not only eliminated the high school newspaper, but also cut the journalism program in its entirety. It's true that student journalism rights in Nebraska are not unlimited. Actually, in Hazelwood School District versus Coalmeyer, which is the U.S. Supreme Court, ruled that school officials can censor school-sponsored publications if their decision is reasonably related to a legitimate pedagogical purpose. I'm pretty sure I'm butchering that word.
Don't ask me. Don't ask me.
Yeah.
I butcher all words. Don't ask me.
It's pedagogy, but I can't pronounce this form. But anyway, this means that school officials must show that they have a reasonable educational reason for censoring the material. So again, just laying it out, school officials do have the ability, do have the right. It is legal for them to censor educational material for reasonable education reasons. So the center of this situation is a Northwest High School's newspaper, the Viking Saga, which was shut down due to LGBTQIA plus sentiments. The limited response given from them appears to be far from reasonable, according to the author of this editorial. In fact, it is narrow-minded, blatant censorship, and shows total disregard for the First Amendment while also being based in anti-LGBTQIA plus sentiment. Again, this is the author of the editorial writing this. Printed back in May at the end of the 21-22 school year, the final edition of the Viking Saga newspaper included 2 student editorials on LGBTQ topics and news articles titled Pride and Prejudice, LGBTQIA+, which are talking about the origins of Pride Month in June and the history of homophobia. Other articles in the paper explain registering for classes, highlighted achievements of future business leaders, etc., etc. As first reported by Grand Island Independent's Jessica Vatipka, Northwest Superintendent Jeff Edwards said the decision to cut the paper and program was nothing more than administrative. Given the tones and pressures that we've been seeing on school districts, especially over the last 2 years in regards to the failed attempt to change sex education health standards in Nebraska, and also the pushback against CRT, what are your thoughts?
Wow. Yeah, it's pretty blatant. I mean, at first glance, it's like they got to kind of regulate things. It is a school paper. These are students. Most of the students are underage. So I don't. There's a fine line, but in this climate right now, with all this political divide, I definitely see them, pulling some stuff because of CRT and all the. We've been talking all year long about these fights that's been going on with the school district, with the governor, with Republican Party, even just as a whole, really trying to control things. And I mean, we're back to burning books and stuff like that. So yeah,
Yep.
can't rule out that this is definitely a move on their part to, there's a whole like don't mention sex and don't mention movement going on, especially in the South, in places in the South. So yeah, I definitely can see that this is the reason why they would decide they're gonna, simply the principal didn't like it. So let's just shut it all the way down so they don't keep talking about these issues. So yeah, man. I mean, it's pretty blatant to me. I got wind of it because a fellow journalist is like, all the journalism organizations are piling up right now to support this move because it's a move against all news organizations, really.
Yeah,
So.
I mean, it definitely is. It's a insidious start, like you said. They've already started banning books. I mean, they already started burning books. It's not a good sign once the society starts burning and banning books and banning knowledge and censoring things. It's just not a good sign, man.
Yeah.
It's not a good sign. And journalists who get used to being censored in school become, journalists who just get used to being censored. Period.
It's very true. It's a tough one, especially in this climate right now that we're in, where there's organizations and foundations that are paying for nonprofit news. The question is back, especially during what's going on in news with fake news and everything that's been happening. The question is back. What kind of news organization are you? Are you succumbing to the political pressure to say things, or the monetary pressure to say things? It's almost like you got to question all the time whether or not somebody is legitimately on, doing hard news, speaking truth, and
Right.
and not being controlled by somebody else. We have to fight it here. You guys hear us say all kinds of crazy stuff all the time, and we still kind of get questioned every once in a while. Like, well, I know that you guys take grant money, so there's some of those people trying to tell you what to say. And so it's always like, we will absolutely not ever take any money from anybody that tries to tell us how we can use it and what we can say and everything else. So like, it's a struggle just on our small level. I can imagine what's going on in the news world as a whole, and with all this new movement. So anyway, I didn't want to say that much about it. I'd rather get some input from the chat. What say you on this? Mark Manner in the chat says, this is the pressure of this Nebraska for Freedom group who run in the Nebraska GOP. Guarantee it. Okay, so yeah, there's definitely some organization here that is afoot when it comes to the grand old party, and there's a lot of actions being taken against things like this particular thing right here. They had a problem with the LGBTQ plus articles and things they were focusing on in this thing, and just decided to shut the newspaper down. I mean, that's crazy. So a lot of people are coming out and protesting this, and I can see why they would be. Black Dynamite says, "Morning, y'all. How you doing? Yeah, give us some feedback in the chat. What it is that you think about this? It is a school newspaper, so it's like they do have to kind of. I mean, they have to regulate. It's not exactly the press. I mean, it's the press, but it's supposed to be practice press. So they do got to kind of regulate. They can't just have any old crazy thing in the paper because we're still dealing with underage students. But at the same time, I mean, we're not agreeing that this is some crazy stuff that they need to censor.
No, I mean, I haven't personally read the articles, but based on this article, again, the stories or the material, if you will, in question again is a news article titled "Pride and Prejudice," which is it sounds educational in essentially like it talks about the history of Pride Month and the history of homophobia. That sounds like a necessary education that students might want to read to be aware of things that are relevant to their experience in the world today. And that's kind of the thing at the center of it. Is it educational? What is the valid reason for banning this? And I'm along with you, man. I don't think there is really a valid reason beyond just the sort of conservative moral kind of standpoint, which it's more. I think the banning of the journalism program, and again, it's not just this issue, it's not just this newspaper.
Wow.
They done away with the whole journalism program,
Yeah,
which should be looked at through a different lens. And I think Brother Mark Manner is hitting the nail right on the head. Actually, Omaha World Herald is reporting on another organization called Protect Nebraska Children Coalition, which has grown very rapidly, actually in little more than a year. The group has grown from a handful of worried parents and grandparents to a conservative political player in Nebraska with the Facebook page with more than 22,000 followers.
Wow.
So again, this story coming out of the Lincoln, Journal is the tip of the iceberg. It's a symptom of a much larger issue, which again is this moral fight that's happening over our schools. Again, the coalition notched a victory when its relentless opposition, joined by Governor Pete Ricketts and others, spurred the Nebraska State Board of Education to indefinitely postpone the adoption of optional school health education standards, as I just mentioned, that critics said advanced a politically progressive view of gender identity and sexual orientation. Remember those conversations that seemingly went over the heads of the school districts and completely eliminating any opportunity for students who identify with the LGBTQIA plus community to have a voice, to feel seen, to have a in route, to have those types of conversations. That was thwarted. And again, this organization, this momentum, this movement is growing. 22,000 followers.
That's crazy. That's pretty scary, man. Actually, really. That's crazy. What do you guys feel like in the chat about this? Number one, number two, we better start naming some things that's trying to fight this and circumvent some of this. What are some of the efforts that are happening on the other side of the situation? I'd love to know. We do have Kimra Snipes in the chat. We couldn't see her on Facebook for whatever reason. She's over on YouTube. Appreciate that. She says, "Guess I'll come over here. Yeah, see, we see you now on YouTube. I don't know why we weren't seeing you on Facebook. Apologize for that. Rose Review says, I hope there was a dialogue in why it got shut down, so all parties will have to say in the takeaway. Talking about this journalism program, I didn't get that right away from that article. I'm just thinking they're shutting the paper down, but they're
Whole
shutting the
program.
whole journalistic program down. Like they don't even want you to be. Marianne Williams in the chat says, "Morning. When this first reported, the school said if they couldn't control the content, they had to eliminate it. They received plenty of pushback on that because bills give student more freedom have not passed. That's when they started characterizing it as administrative issues. I grew up in Grand Island. Northwest is pretty rural. Okay, so that kind of just shows the attitude there, like right off the bat. If they can't control the content, they're going to eliminate it. Um, and so now, there's a bunch of efforts now to protect students for their right to free speech that's been going on. Some of it's passed in some other states, some of it hasn't. Um, she said, "Is this the event in Grand Island?"
Yes,
Yeah, we're talking about
yep. And actually glad you're finally on. As a board member, as a former board member, what are your thoughts on this? Like, what have you seen this type of event before, or do you feel like this administration is out of its bounds to completely do away with the program? I did want to read a quick excerpt from this editorial. The author said, truth is not always comfortable. Student journalists have the right to report on the truths that affect them in their school communities. Even if district officials don't like the subject matter, taking offense to something is a personal choice, and allowing prejudice in official decisions is wrong. Don't wrap up censorship in pretty paper and try to call it administrative.
Ooh, she's a writer.
Yeah. I'm trying to find out who wrote this editorial. I like it.
Kimber Snipes in the chat says, I have an organizer I'm training who's in Grand Island. She's presented with a great opportunity to organize around this.
Okay. So we might be able to put some hands on this.
Yeah. She said they are wrong for completely getting rid of it. Yeah, that's crazy. I didn't realize they were getting rid of the whole journalism program. We're out here trying to scrap and scrape to put one together, grassroots one together to teach journalists, and here they are in their school already and trying to scrap it. That's crazy.
Trying to do away with it. Yeah. And I would not be surprised if this administrator, was a part of these Protect Nebraska Children groups and these Nebraska Freedom groups.
Yeah. Yeah, that protect your children thing is crazy too, because on the surface, it looks like they want to do something to try to help kids get better education and stuff in school, but it's not working that way, because really when they're talking about protecting kids, they're talking about protecting them from almost like other ideas and
man,
I'm learning and ideas in general.
I'm glad you said that. So actually, in this World Herald article, it does lay out kind of what their goal is. It says the first time the public heard of the coalition was in May 2021, when one of its founders, Katie McClemens, announced at a state board meeting that the group had formed to, quote unquote, protect the health and innocence of children and the fundamental rights of parents to direct the education, healthcare, and upbringing of their children.
Right.
So yeah. In essence, yes, they are trying to indoctrinate their children.
Yeah, and they obviously feel like their children are getting indoctrinated by the school system for them to be feeling like they need to protect them from certain things, which the need to feel like you want to protect your child's natural thing. It just really kind of depends on your belief system. So they feel number one, they got weird stuff going on around ideas that like liberals are teaching kids sex and stuff like this in school. They already are really trying to like push these kinds of ideas. Not to mention, some of the other things that they're talking about too. They want to protect the innocence of their children. In other words, like don't let them understand about racism. Don't teach them about about race, about critical race theory, or that or that white folks did ugly stuff back in the day. Like we don't need to present that to them because that's taking away their innocence, making them feel guilty too early, and all kinds of, they got all kinds of reasonings that really infringe on being able to understand other groups and really understand that. We got Carol Blood for governor in the House. What's happening?
Hello, governor.
She says, parents already have that right. That's theirs. That's right. They already got the right to teach their kids.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's nothing they got to fight for. Appreciate you coming in and talking about that. Kimmer Snipes over on YouTube is saying, and it's trickling over into other politics in Grand Island. Also, we can create our own groups. It's called organizing. Only when we organize, we tell the truth. So I love that. Kimmer is a very, very big proponent for organization and has studied all kinds of ways to organize. And then her about her involvement in the neighborhood associations and stuff like that, organizing. Right. So what's up? Marianne Williams says, because bills to give students more freedom didn't pass, it does mean that the school does have the ability to control it. Shutting it all down is versus guiding students towards becoming better journalists and readers is an interesting choice. Understatement of the year right there. Very, very interesting choice to decide to just shut down the journalism program instead of teach kids how to be better journalists.
Man, or just better thinkers. Like what? Why can't we just teach children cognitive thinking, like cognitive skills, and allow them to use reasoning?
Well, because they're teaching, because they have an agenda to teach kids cognitive dissonance. So they,
to be cogs in the wheel.
Cognitive skills is not part of that agenda. Ceci Jean says, if black children can experience racism, white children need to know about racism. Yep.
Yeah.
Very true.
Yeah. But again, this is all coming from the conservative groups. Actually, this it later breaks down who's behind this Protect Nebraska Children Coalition, or what's being called the PNC. Actually on February 11th of last year. So this is a fairly new organization, but Nebraskans for Founders Values, which is a conservative group that advocates for religious freedom, parental rights, and for restoring a culture based on Christian principles. Again, keep in mind, it's beyond just the whole hoopla about parental rights. It's beyond just the whole hoopla about states' rights. It's beyond all of these are bell words, and that's what we do here on First Sky Omaha. We got to read between the lines and really break it down. What are they saying? Again, Nebraskans for Founders Values, a conservative group that advocates for religious freedom, parental rights, and for restoring a culture based on Christian principles. I want to clarify, this is not talking about the religion of Christianity. This is talking about the political platform of Christianity, which Europeans banded themselves under to conquer the world. Go to the conversation between Richard Spencer and Roland Martin. This is a conversation that happened back in 2016 on Roland Martin's show. They had a debate. And in that debate, you'll see the differentiation between what, these conservatives are claiming to be as far as a cultural Christian versus what we know, when grandma goes to church, is talk about Jesus on Sunday, a religious Christian, two different values, two different cultures.
Yeah, straight up.
So we got to understand what we're dealing with and where these people are. It's not about parental rights. What are they trying to conserve? Their political platform.
What's the name of that organization again that you just said? Because it said something about founders.
Nebraskans for Founders Values.
So when I think about founders' values, I think about how half of them own slaves.
Come on now, what are they trying to conserve? That's my question.
The founders' values. That's loaded. Kimmer Snipes over on YouTube says, my son says all the time that they don't reach critical thinking, teach critical thinking in school. That's why he's thinking of becoming a teacher.
Come on now.
Come on. That's what I'm saying. Vaughn Chapman says, protecting children from freedom of thought and speech is exactly why those white children turn into white racists. Go Big Red.
Hello. let's keep it pushing because we do have some guests. I see Politicin with P coming in. I see we have Camera coming in, and I actually love to hear from P on this next story because I'm about to flip it on y'all. I'm about to flip it because let's get to the nitty gritty. If these families really, or if these organizations really cared about parental rights, really cared about the families, really cared about protecting children, then we wouldn't have what we're seeing with the St. Francis situation in Nebraska children and the whole fraud investigation that Senator Cavanaugh is calling for.
I'll tell you what, let's bring P in and get her in on this conversation. Ladies and gentlemen, we are now politicking with P. Precious McKesson in the house.
Hey, y'all.
Good
Hello.
morning. Good morning.
Hello.
Good morning.
Oh, man. Good morning from beautiful DC. I should just be saying.
Hey.
So I'm gonna make this quick because I got a quick walk up the street to start my day for meetings. But when we talk about the St. Francis, first shout out to Senator Michaela Cavanaugh for putting that spotlight on that organization because, as we all know, that is a rickets. I mean, the former organization that had it, they all had put in RFPs. If people don't remember, they put in bids. And the former organization that had it, bid was actually lower than St. Francis's bid. And then St. Francis got the bid. Not only that, St. Francis got some perks. They got some Cub tickets. I mean, they had all kinds of different things that were going on. And at this time, our kids, and majority of the kids, honestly, that are in the foster care system, you normally see are Black and brown kids. I'm not saying that I don't know the exact numbers, but when I see it, I'm seeing Black and brown kids. So you have kids who are now displaced. You have kids. You have caseworkers who can't even do their kids because they have too many cases. You have kids who, some of them never even saw caseworkers, if I'm not mistaken, and they went to court or they had paperwork that wasn't in there. It's a lot of stuff that's going on. So I shout out to Michaela Cavanaugh for really putting her foot down and calling for this investigation because there is something in there that was done wrong, and they need to be held accountable for that. And the governor needs to be held accountable for that because he was over that. Now, some people might say, "Oh, well, now you're bringing in different people." That's okay, and I'll give a shout out to I think her name is Miss Ronette. I don't want to mess up her last name, but I think she's still the director of the Department of Health and Human Services, and she has been so transparent. Like when she would come testify, when she would come talk, like because she came in the middle of this. So, just the fact that her department still had to oversee some different things and to be able to talk about it. They've been very transparent. But again, that organization needs to be held accountable. If I'm not mistaken, somebody correct me, there was caseworkers that were fired for speaking out against them, and because they had a protest, and they were fired because they did, basically they were whistleblowers, to what was going on. And so, yeah, we'll see a lot come out. And just again, I don't know all the specifics because number one, that's not my lane of field of work. But I do know that we have some good senators who, and especially Senator Michaela Cavanaugh, who is like really taking on that fight and really holding them accountable.
That's what's up. Yeah. We got Jonathan Benjamin Alvarado on the chat. He says, if these were people of color, those folks would be in jail. Just saying.
They would have been escorted out the building. They would have been in handcuffs. They would have been plastered on the TV before they even went in front of a judge to say guilty or not, to plead guilty or not guilty. We know that for a fact. But the fact that you have people who are receiving fringe benefits on the basis of kids in the foster care system, it's a shame. And they need to be held accountable because those kids really lost a lot. Some of those kids could have been reunified. Some of those kids could have had resources to help them be able to deal with the trauma that they were dealing with. So not only that they're dealing with the trauma that may have, taken place for them to be put into the system, now the system is adding on trauma to them. Right. For the different things, and I'll just say, I'm an advocate for foster. I'm an advocate for foster parents, but I'm an advocate for good foster parents that actually get in there and take care of the kids and not get it just to take a check. They actually taking those kids and actually reforming those children to be able to be successful kids. I was a guardian. I had a young lady who I took guardianship when she was in high school. I only got $221 a month for her. That's all the state would give me because I was her guardian. She was not related to me, but I made sure that young lady got out of high school, and make sure that young lady received the resources she needs to be successful, and she's now a nurse, and she's still part of my life. So I advocate for foster parents who are in it for the right reason, because these kids need to have someone who loves them unconditionally, and then also they need to be able to help them be reunified with their parents.
Yep. Yeah, no, I definitely have seen it firsthand. The impact that a good foster family can have on a foster child, and it reminds you, like, this, they're in the foster system, so they had to have gone through some trauma to get to that position as a child. So really having it work, it does wonders. But to the other side, to have it not work is exponentially worse. And I did want to lay out some of the details in the bombshells, and I know you're limited on time, so I want to make it quick. But I did want to lay this out as far as what's going on with the St. Francis situation, and why Senator Cavanaugh is calling for a fraud investigation, which is the latest update. She is saying that there was an internal investigation, which actually the internal investigation itself reported that there was a conflict of interest between Smith, who was the CEO of St. Francis Ministries, and Bill Wymark, who was the president of some software company, who apparently defrauded St. Francis of tens of millions of dollars because they were supposed to give them, they were contracted to give them some software that St. Francis kept paying for that they never received. Did St. Francis know that they were not going to receive that software, and was he paying his friend? We don't know. But that also means that the state of Nebraska taxpayers were also defrauded in this same contract, because Nebraska contracted with St. Francis contracted with them. So our taxpayer dollars went to paying for the software that no one ever received. So yeah, we're going to definitely see what's going on with the situation. Of course, Ricketts was, selling tickets and going to dinners, and he was in bed with this negotiation. So we're definitely going to see what comes of this. But yeah, just wanted to lay that out.
People was out there putting in bids for jobs. It wasn't even, hey, put this up there, put this in, we're going to pay you. Didn't even get the product.
Man. And even after all those reports came out about them not doing the job, and he had to come out and be like, we're gonna end this contract. They didn't end it. They kept it on for a whole year longer. Like, they renewed the contract and everything.
Yeah. You go in there and get that evidence all shredded and stuff and boxed away.
All right.
Carol Bluff, governor, in the chat says NDHHS, St. Francis, NDEE, alt-N poisoning, NDCS, prison overcrowding, all fall under the supervision of the executive branch governor. Where does the buck stop?
She was absolutely right. All of that is controlled. All those people are appointed by the governor. Crazy. They fall under him. He is basically their boss.
Hello, governor.
It makes you wonder. She says also Nebraskans are the collateral damage, right? It makes you wonder, like, how any of this would have went if Carol Blood was governor. Like,
we wouldn't have none of this.
How different would this whole situation be, right?
We won't have this when she's governor.
There you go.
I'll put it like this. The state has been run by a straight up crook. I'm not parsing any words. This guy is a crook. I've been calling just the prison overcrowding situation alone. Yeah. We need to bring human rights violations against Ricketts, Frakes, all of these people. And I'm not lying. Like, human rights violations.
Frakes is leaving in October.
Convenient. Very convenient.
He's leaving.
Very convenient.
But my thing is, I mean, honestly, I'm very vocal. I don't care for the governor. I don't feel that the governor has Nebraskans at heart, but especially Nebraskans that are of color at heart, or take our issues serious. He has said things that have just been very distasteful. He lives off of his daddy's money. His mom invests money into very conservative organizations that normally impact people of color. I just don't care for him. I've never cared for him. And I always say this, and I will say this until he is no longer even invited. Who invited him? Why do y'all keep inviting this man to these events? And why do y'all keep sitting down with this man? I was done with him when he said, "Where the hell were you people at?" I was done with Governor Ricketts then. And that was the last straw. And I was in the room, and I don't care until I leave this world. I know what that man said. Can't nobody tell me different. I was in that room, and there was several other people in that room. And if they say different, then I want everybody to check and see if he's giving them some damn money, because I know what that man said. The man is a racist, a pure racist.
I was done with him when he said if you buy marijuana, you'll kill your kids. But also, Erica Felt, and speaking of kids, Erica Felt in the chat says children's lives were put on negative paths, and without doubt, some will die from the violence or self-harm because of the state. Says, I've seen firsthand what bad caseworkers, judges, and foster programs can do to children. I was in a group in foster homes. She says also he gave them the contract because they bought $800,000 in tickets to his family sports team.
There you go.
We've been talking about this for years, and more stuff is still coming out about these things. Because what you just told me was was a new situation here about them taking that contract that they got defrauded out. I mean,
I didn't know about the data. I was talking about the tickets and benefits. So who else will benefit from this contract? Benefited off the backs of our kids who have already experienced trauma, and our kids were not getting our kids. Let me just.
And I wanted to lay out like some real life stories and situations and fallout from this because again, my wife was a caseworker. She worked with Heartland Family Services, who I believe was a subcontractor under St. Francis Ministries. And she's told me about stories of situations where foster children were being neglected by their foster family, were not really being taken care of by the caseworkers, falling through the cracks, and then next thing you know, they're on the news for some shooting or for some incident that they're either the victim of or the perpetrator of. But again, in those instances, a lot of times you look at it, had that child been taken care of, had there been somebody who just really took initiative to really look after them, those situations wouldn't have happened.
Yep,
that's cold. That's messed up. Appreciate everybody's comments on this. Appreciate your viewpoint on this as well. I mean, this is something that we've been talking about all year now, and it's continuing. So shout out to Cavanaugh, who is doing something about what's happening. I know that you are in D.C. right now. If you're just joining us, we're talking to Precious McKesson, Politicin with P in D.C. It's going down right now. So I know you got some stuff you got to go to. First of all, can you share why you in D.C.? What's going on?
Oh, so every quarter we hold an associated meeting with all the executive directors, the vice chairs and chairs through the United States for the Democratic Party. And then we coincided with DNC meetings. So we'll basically meet to talk about, what's coming up, especially with this being the last meeting before the midterm election. So we just basically come together, meet, organize stuff, get things together, like kind of just basically like a governing body, to really talk about what's going on. So we'll do that. We'll do some meetings. And
little pregame to the election.
Yes, so we'll talk. Candidates will fly in. It'll just be a lot of to really get mobilized for what's to come in the next less than 60 days. So that's what we're doing here.
That's what's up.
Okay. Oh,
anything you want to leave us with?
Yes, a couple of things. So I don't know if you already talked about it. So we do see that the voter ID bill did. I was
just gonna ask.
Oh, okay. The voter ID bill will be on the ballot, and we want to make sure that we're voting no to that. So that just came out yesterday. Congratulations to Senator McKinney and everyone else who worked on the minimum wage to raise the minimum wage. That will also be on the ballot. So we want to make sure that we vote yes to raising the minimum wage. And then there's another bill that will be on there. It's a constitutional amendment by Elliot Bostar, and we're going to vote yes to that. It's for the airport authority. So basically, I'll have as we start to get the language and know how that's going, we'll start to release that. We don't know the bill numbers yet. The Secretary of State yesterday said that they actually have to do a drawing to find out what the number will be, and because basically how it's placed on the ballot. But I want to make sure that everybody knows that we will be going strong to making sure people are voting no against voter ID. Voter ID is unconstitutional. It is not fair to make people have to show their ID at the polling place. There's people who don't even have IDs because of maybe just not even being able to afford it, different things. So I feel like it's unconstitutional. It's a way to suppress the vote. It's a way to suppress vote for Black and brown people. And Senator Obama, that's what I'm gonna start calling her because I don't like her. I just don't like her. She is heading this up, but not only is she heading this up, she is heading this up because of Pete Ricketts' money. His mama put money, and I'm gonna say his mama because I don't know her name. His mama put money into that organization, so it's funded by them. So I just need y'all to make sure that we are standing strong and we're voting no. Because we do not need voter ID in Nebraska. Our Secretary of State said that our elections were safe and they were legitimate. We've had no I think we had maybe one thing of fraud in the last 30 to 40 years. I think it was in the 80s. I'll get that fact because we actually researched it. There's only been one case of that, but our elections are safe. We don't need voter ID. And, again, we just need to basically stand up to Ricketts money and making sure that we are not letting them let that go through as a constitutional amendment. It will be basically, it will be in the law if they do it. So
we gotta get really diligent on that one because we were trying to fight it from the beginning of getting signatures on that thing in the first place to get it on the ballot, and apparently a lot of people signed it. So that's
yep.
Yeah.
Signed it. A lot of people didn't know what they were doing. There was a lot of people that was lying about the signing. There was a lot of people who weren't even reading the paperwork, and there was a lot of people who didn't even live in the state of Nebraska who had people signing that. So again, we got to step up and make sure that does not go through.
Yeah, is there a way to challenge that, to even challenge it, even making it to the ballot? The verification of the signatures, like what is that process?
Well, they've already went through the verification of signatures, and that's what the Secretary of State came back yesterday and verified that they met the qualifications as well as the county threshold that they had to meet in order for it to be on the ballot. You have to have so many counties of I think it's either you have to have, out of the 93 counties, you have to meet a percentage of the threshold of counties that actually signed it. So not all 93 counties have to sign it. You got to meet that threshold. And so they said they did. I don't know if the ACLU will file some type of lawsuit or something that can stop it. But then it just thinks of how long it'll take to get to the Supreme Court, who will go through. It's a lot of technicalities that will happen. So at this point, we need to start strategizing and making sure people know to vote no on that bill.
Yeah.
There you go. Appreciate you as always. Thank you so much for coming on through with us. And especially if you're having to get up so early out there in DC now. So
no, I'm an hour ahead of y'all. So
okay.
And I'll say this, somebody mentioned this, and I'll say this. It's funny how, and I'll say this again, it's funny how they ask us to sign, they want people to sign, they wanted people to sign the petition to show their ID, at the voting poll, but you didn't have to show your ID to sign the petition.
Make it make sense. Make it make sense.
Also, last thing before I go, because my phone is like blowing up over here. The Nebraska Democratic Party is still hiring paid canvassers at $25 an hour. This is in the Congressional District 2. So that's in Douglas County, part of Sarpy County, and Saunders County. If you are interested in that, you can definitely email me at info@nebraskademocrats.org. That's info, INFO, at nebraskademocrats.org. And again, and shout out to everybody that came out, the listeners. We had a lot of listeners that came out to the Amber Ruffin happy hour last week. So shout out to y'all. Thank y'all so much for supporting. Really appreciate it. And I'm going to get out of here because, again, I have to walk up the street and it's about to rain. I got to go.
Okay. Yeah. Go ahead. Get on the move. Looking good, Precious. We appreciate you as always. Enjoy the rest of your day.
All right. Have a good one, y'all.
Have a good one. Peace. There you go. Precious McKesson, Politicin with P. We'll take a quick break and come back. We got Kimra Snipes in the wings.
Hey.
What's good in the hood? Stay tuned. You're listening to First Sky Omaha Radio. First Sky Omaha in the morning. All Beee, Buddi3 Da Gawd, all of you. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Hey.
Welcome back. First Sky Omaha Radio, First Sky Omaha in the morning. Yeah, Paul B, Buddi3 Da Gawd, all of you. Black Dynamite in the chat. I heard on the news yesterday they wanted to have people show IDs to help prevent fraud, which is already rare. Which to me means makes me ask them what's really the reason. Yeah, we are calling voter suppression. the reason. They want as many people not to vote as possible so that they can control things. Anyway, it is 7. It was it's coming up on the 8:00 hour, the second hour of First Sky Omaha in the morning, and we have Kimra Snipes waiting in the wings. It's going down. We will bring her in. Good morning to you.
What's good, y'all? How you doing?
Good. I'm good. How are you?
I am, I ain't gonna lie. When you follow the money, that brings a little anxiety with it. But I'm good. I'm good.
What's going on? What's going on with you? You over at the headquarters right now on
live from 30th and Ames, one of my favorite parts of East Omaha.
There you go.
So definitely
East
trying
Side.
to support Black business whenever I get the opportunity. BIPOC business, period.
Yeah.
I take the opportunity to do that.
That's what's up. That's why we love you. We appreciate you coming on today.
Absolutely. So
what's good in the hood?
Let us know.
The past few weeks, this ARPA funding, it really has had me thinking about my role as a good neighbor. It's also had me thinking about, what do our elected officials think our roles are as good neighbors too, because I'm starting to think that sometimes there may be a difference of opinion, and it had me thinking back to my whole start in this, which is neighborhood associations. So I want to just start off really quick, just kind of talking a little bit more in detail about neighborhood associations, and what they are is just a group of neighbors who get together, share ideas, work cooperatively to really make their neighborhood a better place to live. So really, it means that anybody can be a member. It's voluntary, but it's open to anyone. It really requires nothing but your time, your effort, your energy. And to be honest with you, neighborhood associations started really, they say, like in the late 1800s. And it grew out of efforts of ordinary people, right? Organizers, clergy, government workers, just a number of people, who got together to really help empower the nation's urban poor. The urban poor are the ones who started neighborhood associations. And once they organized, they began the process of really converting interest into politically relevant issues, right? Mm-hmm. So converting interest into politically relevant issues. And so really, when I think about my role as a neighborhood association member, it's not just, once a month going to a meeting, having some coffee, having some cookies, chatting with people. We're getting together to discuss things that are wrong in our neighborhoods, and that don't matter if I rent, if I own, whatever the case may be. And so I just wanted to share that a little bit. There's a lot more history to neighborhood associations and things like that. But ultimately, I think that people need to understand that there's a purpose for us gathering. So what had me thinking about that was, as you know, been following the money, and shouts out again to Senator McKinney and Senator Wayne, who came up on the show. I listened to it. It was a great show, a lot of information, and I appreciate that. Still following at the city. I told y'all before that I had reached out to my city council person to ask questions about the city funding, because all of it really isn't listed on the website as far as what all the money is being spent on. The questions I had were really around what I did see on the website, and what is the remaining funding being spent on. I sent that email before I talked to y'all last week. I still have not heard back. And that's kind of what had me thinking about, what does my city council person think my role is as a neighborhood association member? I think that my role is to remind him that my role is to ask questions about things like this. And I don't think that we should feel bad or be ignored when we have questions about things that are happening in our community. And if you can't tell, I do feel some type of way about it, because I volunteer my time to organize neighborhoods so that we have a platform to talk about things like this.
Right.
So at the county level, I want to thank Dan Esch. Dan Esch is your county clerk. That is also an elected position. I've known Dan since he used to come and volunteer for my neighborhood association for our cleanup day. He's in like an unofficial member of Highland South Indian Hill, but he's also your county clerk. And when I reach out to him and I ask him a question, he gets back to me as soon as he can, and I appreciate that. Basically, with the funding for the county, we talked about how there was about $111 million or 12 that came into the county. There were a couple of phases. The first phase already happened. That was $55.4 million. A majority of that funding is earmarked or spent. I went back and I watched the meeting they had about ARPA funding from last Monday morning. And it sounds like on there I also heard where they said each commissioner received $2.5 million to go towards a project in their district. So I did email Mr. Esch and I asked him if there was a list of what each commissioner used, that money for in projects within their respected districts. But you all also can ask those questions of your county commissioners. And then it was also mentioned that there was about $3 million remaining. So I've asked, what was that spent on as well? The second phase of that money from the county is what's being looked at right now. And it sounds like they have a few suggestions. One is like a $1.1 million new air handling system at the Civic Center. Another one is premium pay for employees who didn't get the pay during the first round. They have a couple of scenarios for that. One is about $3.75 million. The other one's about $2.1 million, just different options for premium pay for employees. And the third one that they're thinking about is a mental health facility. Now, our county commissioner, Roger Garcia, and I have to thank him for showing up at the last South Omaha Neighborhood Alliance meeting. Our city council person wasn't there. And he came and he showed up, he talked about this mental health facility. And it sounds like the county commissioners, and I'm bringing this up for a reason, which I'll get into, but the county commissioners are thinking about this facility, which, according to my commissioner, was suggested by the chair, who is, I believe, Mary Ann Borgeson. And so they are looking at maybe a community located at 42nd and Center. They're looking at some sort of co-located area for correctional inmates who have a high need for mental health care, and also everyday citizens, people who are out in the community, a co-located sort of place as well. The cost is about 48 to 58 million. According to my county commissioner, there's a disagreement amongst the board as to exactly what to do when it comes to a mental health facility. But what got my attention during our alliance meeting was he made the statement that the fragmentation led to listening sessions. So they're going to be having some listening sessions about this money, and I have the dates for you. But again, I go back to him saying that the fragmentation led to listening sessions. So once he was done presenting, I came back and I asked, and I said, I heard you say that the fragmentation led to listening sessions. So what that sounds like to me is that because you all disagreed as a board, you decided at that point that you needed community input. So had you not disagreed, would you have needed community input? And so it's things like that that grind my gears, right? That kind of frustrate me and make me a little angry, because the people in the community who you're supposed to be doing this for, and who, by the way, have valuable input, because we had several members of the association who had a lot of questions for Commissioner Garcia, and a lot of sharing of personal experiences that were very relevant to the situation. So they are going to be having meetings. All of these meetings will go from 6 p.m. to 7:30 p.m. They're going to run from September 15th through October 18th. September 15th at the Fort campus, they'll have one. The 19th at the South campus for MCC. The October 4th at the Douglas County Extension Office, which is on 80th and Center, and then October 18th at the Douglas County West Office, which is on 103rd and Maple. And I'll be happy to share that with you.
And again, these are meetings that are going to talk about what a mental health facility looks like in our community. Is that what that's for?
It sounds so. It basically, and I have the letter in here. It's listening sessions on what to do with the money. Essentially, this is money for the county. I mean, the commissioners can, have great ideas. And I'm not saying that a mental health facility is a bad idea at all. I'm not saying that. But I am saying that, we should be getting input from the community, whether you agree or not. But yes, these are opportunities for you as community members to come and attend these meetings. And it basically says that the Douglas County Board of Commissioners will be hosting 4 community town hall meetings to gather community input on a new mental health facility and present the phase 1 findings of a mental health facility study conducted by Carlson West Pavandra Architects. The board has said investing in mental health is a top priority for the county's ARPA dollars. Phase 2 of the mental health facility study is currently underway.
Okay, so that's just one of the things that they want to talk about, where that money should go to. And what these meetings are for us to come and put some input on what to spend the money on. And so when you say that they had some discrepancies within their board, first of all, like Omaha is known these days for having all these closed door talks, and that's one of the problems. There's not a lot of involvement of the community, but because when you said that they were disagreeing internally, that disagreement was about how that money should be spent, or was that a disagreement on what the mental health facility looks like? Was it a broader conversation?
So 2 things. One, on the mental health facility, should there be a new building? Should there
more beds in our neighborhood?
Should they revitalize an older building? Those sorts of conversations. I also want to specify that instead of saying closed door, I'd probably say a less easily accessed door, because these are public meetings, right? They are subject to the Open Meetings Act. So they are available to everyone to go to. It's just that they're usually on a Tuesday at like 9 o'clock in the morning when a lot of people have to be at work. But they do also have recordings, which I went back and watched.
And then you got to find a button next to the door, and somebody got to let you in, and like how Creature was describing.
So like this particular meeting, I went back and I watched the recording of the meeting. But even that takes time out of somebody's day. You know what I'm saying? Essentially, and I was going to talk about this later on, there needs to be communications protocol set up. And that is one of the values of a neighborhood alliance. We provide you with a space where you can come, like Commissioner Garcia did, and explain these things that are happening in this space. Yeah. Your city council person can come, if they're doing what they're supposed to be doing, and share about what's happening in this space. We had a city council person, Gary Granette. People called him a good old boy, say what you want. He used to be a police officer, I know. But one thing is he was consistent, and he was at every one of those meetings, and we knew everything that was happening in city council. And we deserve to know that. And then it's our responsibility, attending these alliance meetings, to go and tell everybody else what's happening.
Okay. First of all, it's if you believe in the concept of time, it's 8:13. If you're just joining us, we're with Kimra Snipes, who we have a segment with her called "What's Good in the Hood," and she's talking a lot about what's going on with neighborhood alliances, neighborhood associations, and organizations that need to be hearing from our local politicians so that we can get that information and spread that information around. The question I want to ask you about that, though, is can you give me at least one example of a time when an elected official or someone came to the association meeting, you guys got hip to something, you guys were able to make some change because of the fact that you got the information from our elected officials that were trying to reach out, and some of the actions that you guys took as an organization to help make some change happen. Anything specific standing out in mind?
Keep in mind that as an alliance, our goal is to provide communication and spaces for collaboration. So for us, that's the power, is getting people the information. We have a mini grant program where we're able to provide support to people. We were involved. Right now, we're working with the members who want to bring the ADUs, right? So SONA gets involved with that. We were involved. Yeah, we wanted to help and try to get it to where you had to pay 5 cents for a plastic bag because we want to take care of our country. You know what I'm saying? We want to take care of the earth. Biggest thing for us though is the information and sharing of information. I don't think people understand the value in that. It's not always about, having a project. It's about knowing what's going on.
Right.
That is the value for us, providing that space. So then that way we don't have to get me up at 5:30 in the morning to get on the bus to come over to Slurs and have this really cool space to do this show to tell you about what's going on with this ARPA money, because we already know. We already know.
So this is our electronic version of that kind of information gathering and discussion. So and I can see we need both. We need all of it.
Yeah, I did want to speak to a possible example that I'm thinking of, and I'm curious just to make sure that I'm understanding the creation of the COVID task force. Is that something you did? And is that something you did in a neighborhood alliance capacity?
Absolutely. And I don't even think about that because it's just so normal. Let me tell you, there's probably several things we've done that we probably don't even talk about because this is just what we do. I mean, I've been involved with neighborhood associations for forever. That COVID-19 task force, that was just us as leaders, and I'm like, yo, we got to do something. I called Terrell McKinney. He was a part of that. You know what I'm saying? But that's just what we do, and see what happens when you empower people and you get them together. Then it becomes just a part of who they are. It could be 1,000 camera snipes running around if we just had a city who invested in neighborhood associations the right way. But
there you go. And speaking of, I did want to ask one more question about the Douglas County board meeting, because I do have this article right in front of me talking about the health plan, the 22 action plan to recognize racism as a public health crisis. Was there any talk about putting money towards that plan or any of that?
I didn't hear that. I didn't hear that during that meeting. I heard I didn't hear that. I suggest you go and watch the meeting. I heard some other people get in there and ask for some money. I heard something about some money for some workout spaces for the sheriff's deputies. I heard something about that. But that was,
why don't you just go to Tactical 88 and go to
for mental health. Yeah. So, but yeah, but I did. I do have a little bit more information for y'all. I was listening to Justin Wayne last week when he talked. I will say, when it comes to the state funding, the only update I do have is that I got an email from, and this plays into our role as just good neighbors. We're not out here to have conflict with people. We're out here to have information. And so I got an email from a gentleman named John Levy, who is he's the president of the William and Ruth Scott Foundation. He also happens to be the chair of the Canopy South Board of Directors, who's responsible for the South Omaha version of basically 75 North. So, we talk about following the money. We also got to follow the people. But anyway, I got an email from him asking me to come to a weekly meeting being held on Thursday mornings for South Omaha leaders around the state ARPA funding. And I instantly was like, okay, hi, my name's Kimra. I don't know who you are. Can you tell me, what is your involvement with this process? And I'm hitting up other people too, who is this dude? Why is he emailing me? Where did he come from? And, and he appreciated it. He was like, thank you for reaching out to me. I agree, there has been communication. So basically there is a meeting happening for South Omaha leaders. I needed to reach out to Precious. I don't know if there's something happening with North Omaha folks, but that is happening, and that is something to organize around. So I was thinking about what Senator Wayne, and so I wanted to let y'all know that on Thursday, which is tomorrow at 5:30 p.m., Omaha Public Schools is having their budget hearing. When we talk about the money, right? And so they have a budget hearing. The Omaha Public Schools Board also has a committee, a budget committee as well. And so on that committee is Dr. Shavonna Holman, Spencer Head, Mark Snow, and Nick Thielen. So you know some of these folks who are on the budget committee. And so that hearing will be this Thursday at 5:30. They also have other committees. They have an American Civics Committee that's required by law, a committee on claims. They have an accountability committee, the budget and audit committee, like I mentioned, policy and board governance committee. They have a student assignment plan committee as well. I can't remember if I'm missing anything. But at this budget committee, they're going to be talking about the ESSER fund. So that's something that people can follow. But basically, so for students, about 40% of it is budgeted for academic recovery. Staff, they have like 13.5 million going to raises, 14.8 for salary and benefits for the new schools, 2 million for the transition of OSERs to NPERS, which is a whole thing, and then stipends for $1 million is stipends for student teachers and teacher mentors. They have about 2 million going for technology, which is just continued investment in classroom, student, and infrastructure technology. And then for facilities, 3.5 million for special building fund levy increase to provide additional funds for facilities maintenance and improvements. There's a bunch of information available on their website, but they will have a timeline for their budget. So it's not just this budget hearing, which is happening tomorrow. Then they'll have a joint budget hearing on September 12th, a budget adoption on the 22nd, a budget filing and the property tax request on September 30th.
Is there opportunity for public input on this?
That is what the hearing is for, and the budget is available here. I just put it in that chat. The detailed budget is available where I just gave you. But it talks about general fund expenses, which is like salaries and benefits, contracted services, supplies and materials, equipment and other costs, general fund revenue, which is like state aid, property taxes, other state and local receipts, federal, general fund reserve, and things like that.
Well, my question is, how much money going to the police?
So again, you have that detailed budget, and again, you have school board representatives, and these are questions you can ask. We don't just have to think of the question in our head and then be like, ask that question. Yes. Please do. And a lot of times I will say that I feel like sometimes some elected officials are kind of sitting around waiting for somebody to reach out to them in some situations. Okay. They will also have their regular school board meeting on Thursday because Monday was a holiday. And just some things on there that stood out to me is they have some agreements on there, which look pretty good to me, like an approval of an agreement between the district and UNO for a teacher scholar program, payment of graduate programs, a teacher academy project, a residency program. And then also following this stuff takes me off into rabbit holes a little bit, and something, and this is a conversation for another day, and I can't remember how I got to looking at it, but somehow I got into looking at community redevelopment areas. Ooh. And there was something that stood out to me in that when we talk about TIF, because within Omaha, it says, and this is completely someplace else, but TIF is used to help finance certain redevelopment projects costs within a community redevelopment area. And so when you have a chance, look at the definition of blighted according to Nebraska. And it talks about diversity of ownership, tax or special assessment, delinquency exceeding the fair value of the land, Yeah, there's just some things in there that raise question. But anyway,
we've definitely been talking about that for a while now on that TIF thing and how interesting it is what blighted means and how they can, because my question, because I remember us first starting talking about this, we were going, are they using North Omaha blight to build stuff like in the Blackstone area and stuff like that? And then it came out, no, they're actually calling some of them areas in Blackstone blighted because of this weird definition. So yeah, interesting stuff for sure. I just want to put it out there that if anybody has any questions for Ms. Snipes here in the chat, put it in the chat. Let us know. And we're gonna. It's definitely getting to that time. We're gonna get ready to let you go. But before we do, we kind of want to ask what's good in the hood. Now, you take us down rabbit holes with this information that you have for us, and you dig into the weeds with the details on that. Give us, we always want to know about some good stuff that's happening. We want to know about which next biker club has got some dinners happening coming up.
What's good in the hood?
Okay, so biker stuff. There is an all-white party coming up September 24th, which is my birthday weekend.
Oh, okay.
Out at Immortal.
Can I ask you a question about that? This is a question in general, and for the chat, and for Buddy, and for Kimra, and for anybody that knows this, because I do not know this. What is up with the white parties? Why is that? Where did that become a thing in the Black community? What is the reason? The thing behind it? Somebody just has some nice white clothes.
The all-white parties?
A popular thing, and actually Chicago does it. They were doing it real heavy, which is, I think, where I first saw it. It probably just transitioned to Omaha, but
no, it's all over the country. It's a Black community. It's a Black community thing. I'm wondering.
It's funny that you said that, because I said I was going to an all-white party, and a friend of mine was like, "So,
ain't no Black people there?
All white people?" No. The color white.
Yeah, I'm sure it's become a cultural thing at some, become just a party at some point. But
we know it's a cultural thing, but I'm asking anybody who knows where that came from and why it became a cultural thing. That's what I'm trying.
That's what I'm getting at. If you dig deep enough, like in African heritage and cultures, like dressing in white means purity. It's purity, cleanliness, godliness.
You think it came from Africa?
Yes, I know it did. Now we know whether that's a conscious thing now. No, I don't think is. I think it's kind of trickled down.
We're not having white parties because we trying to honor Africa.
I'm telling you, I think that's where it came from. Subconsciously, that's where it came from. That might not be why we still do it, but that's where it came from. Is what I'm telling you.
I don't know, bro. I think somebody came up. I don't know.
We've been doing white parties for thousands of years, brother. I'm telling you. Bring out the chicken, bring out the drums, bring out the grill, bring out the white cloth.
I'm sorry, you can't tell me that has anything to do with the white parties that we're doing now. That's a disconnect for me on that one. But it's a good guess, and it might be true. I'm not saying I don't know. I'm actually asking. I actually want to know. So anyway, I interrupted you before you get off. There's somebody having a white party, and that means that. Tell me again who's having it. What we doing?
So. Yeah, there's an all-white clothing party September 24th. That's also my birthday weekend. I'll be 47 years old, y'all. But what's good in the hood? Shouts out to Precious for bringing up the ballot initiatives. Yeah. In addition with voter ID, it'll cost about $3 million the first year, and then about $1 million each year just to sustain that. It's going to mean longer waiting times to vote. You wouldn't be able to use a military, tribal, or student ID because those don't have addresses. And like she said, it's also voter suppression. But what is really good is to raise the wage, which, would gradually increase the minimum wage to $15 an hour by 2026. Yeah. We know that we need more, but it's still a start. So we have the opportunity to turn out in November. We need to turn out for governor, for Congress, for sheriff, but also for these other ballot initiatives as well. And if you are a part of a nonprofit or you work with nonprofits, let me know, because at Nebraska Civic Engagement Table, we have the opportunity to help you with messaging and things like that. And I'm just going to give you a little bit right now, but I've spoken with Cliff Albright, who is the executive director of Black Voters Matter out of Atlanta. And we are working on something for Omaha, Nebraska. So that's what's good. And SONA meetings are the first Thursdays. Next one is October 6th. And you can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at East Omaha Z.
Like that.
There
You be having tacos. You be having tacos at the Southside meetings.
We do not have food at the Southside meetings.
Well, never mind then. I'm not coming. We were always a pleasure to have you on. Thank you so much for all those things you do and the information. We're gonna find platforms for you to be able to disseminate a lot of this information that you have, because you really dig deep into research and pull it out. We really appreciate it. We're all about trying to take some action on the stuff that we talk about. So anytime that you are looking at the things that you're looking at, let's discuss that from now on. Let's discuss what can we do about these things that we are talking about. Actually kind of really push and make some change. We're gonna have some people go show up at these meetings. We're already priming them Monday, Wednesday, Friday with information. When they got the information now, when they show up now, or where to go next, or what to do next, where to make some change.
When I watched that county meeting, I think there were maybe 3 people from the public there.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, they make you see what decisions they make when they know no one's watching. So let's keep some eyes on them.
Shout out to Scooters. Shout out to the Young family. Shout out to you for being at the headquarters over there at 30th and Ames. And I appreciate you getting up early in the morning and coming down and jumping on. Yes. Ladies and gentlemen, it's all about Cameron Snipes. Put some respect on her name. What's good in the hood? Hopefully we'll see you next week. And we'll talk to you soon.
Oh, actually, next week I will be in Lincoln. I have a 2-day leadership training that I have to attend. Okay. I might be able to get in by phone, but I'll let you know.
Okay, sounds good.
We appreciate it.
Look forward to hearing about that trip too.
All right.
I appreciate you. Have a good one.
Right,
peace.
Bye. Peace. All right, ladies and gentlemen, there it is. What's good in the hood? Cameron Snipes. Put some respect on her name. Appreciate you guys that jumped in the chat, had some things to say, and had some, listen to what she had to break down for us, because it's a lot.
Man.
She digs deep into all the stuff on all the information and breaks it down. She's a serious researcher. And I really, really appreciate her. Women's Wednesday right now. First Sky Omaha Radio. First Sky Omaha in the morning.
In the morning.
You have been delivered.
Hey.
Stay tuned. We'll be right back. Welcome back.
Hey.
What's going down? First Sky Omaha Radio. First Sky Omaha in the morning. Paul B, Buddi3 Da Gawd, all of you in the chat. 8:32 right now, if you believe in the concept of time. Got about a half an hour left in the show. If you have any questions or anything that's on your mind that you want to talk about, let us know. We still got a few stories and things to jump into that was on the headlines this morning, and that you have brought to us through Friends of First Sky Omaha. And we appreciate everybody that is a member of Friends of First Sky Omaha. It's a group page on Facebook. You can go check it out. There's a lot of discussions and things and articles and stuff that's happening when we're not on live Monday, Wednesday, Friday. So, and we take a lot from there to figure out what we're going to talk about on Monday, Wednesday, Friday. So shout out to everybody that has been putting articles there, and just all the supporters and everybody, just really appreciate everybody doing that. It's all about a discussion. It's all about the discussion. And if we do not talk about these things, then there can be no action taken. So that's what's going on. Buddy said, ain't I'm clean though?
Come on, all white. I have a white outfit, and I'm kind of, it's after Labor Day, so I'm a little worried. But
bro, I ain't got no white nothing, bro. Can we have an all black party? That's all.
I'm with that. We can do that.
Man, I'll never forget one year a certain bar owner was trying to celebrate. I guess there's an annual white party that goes on, not just in the black community either. Like there's a white party is huge in the club scene. White folks do
It's
it.
a thing. It's a thing.
And it was also during Pride Month, so he accidentally put a white pride party on the flyer because they were, they're gonna mix up the party. They're gonna have two parties celebrating whatever you celebrate when you have a white party, and then they're gonna celebrate Pride Month. Whoo! So we had to call him up real quick. Hey, bro, that's not happening. What? What do you mean? What? Check it out. When he finally saw it, he was like, "Oh my god!" He flipped out because he had so many flyers already printed. Whoo! So yeah, man, them all white parties get you in trouble, bro. No, don't put that. Don't have it on Pride Month. Don't have a white party on Pride Month. You're in trouble.
I'm for the all black parties. I'm for that.
Let's do all black party. I'm with it. I don't think. Please, I would like to know somebody else have some ideas of where the all white party comes from, especially in our community, or just. Now that I think about it, like I said, that was not a black club that had that all white party. So where do the white parties come from?
Yeah,
Like,
I guess my African guess didn't satisfy the peanut gallery. Let us know. Let us know.
Okay, they were not doing a all white party at the House of Loom because of African culture. I can tell you that. So
okay,
yeah,
that's fair.
If that's how it started, that's definitely not the reason why we do it now. Is what I'm coming with on that. So anybody else know?
I agree.
Let us know. But some of the best and some of like the highest class parties and the most sedity parties that we have around here are like all white parties. And especially like in the black community, man. Like that's where you put on where you put on your best gear.
Oh yeah.
That ain't church clothes, and then you supposed to come your flyest at an all white party. I don't understand. I don't know.
It's just the cleanest of the clean. I don't know. It really got your mind boggled though. That's
it does. But Black Dynamite says they got a thing called color parties now, where the host gives you a color and you show up wearing said color and you bring things of said color. Okay,
I've heard of that.
Wanda Lewis says they were talking about voter ID being on the ballot on a local TV station yesterday. A supporter of that initiative stated that people can get a state ID issue for free. Is that true? Never heard of that. Yes, you can get a state ID. They consider that a valid ID, but it depends on a bunch of stuff. First of all, it depends on if you can get IDs. Because of your immigration status, your ability to get to the DMV to be able to get a state ID. I mean, there's still barriers there, but here's where I'm at. So first of all, everybody was signing a petition. This was all about this petition signing that happened, and everybody was trying to tell everybody don't sign the petition. A lot of people came up, thinking that they were signing the petition for legalized cannabis and all kinds of other stuff, and they ended up signing this petition saying, "Yeah, it's okay to have your ID for voting." We're past that now. They got enough signatures, and they somehow decided that they were legal signatures, and now it's going to be on the ballot. So now everybody is saying vote no on that now that it's on the ballot, because it just creates more barriers for people to be able to vote. And what they want is for it's just a extra precaution in a tradition of always putting up blockades to people to vote. And there's a lot of people that can't get IDs from all kinds of reasons. It just makes it harder. But if it happens to go, because we are in a state where it's definitely a bipartisan, it's definitely a political thing too. Like we're in a red state. Everybody is like, well, you're an American, you should have an ID. You should be able to, what's wrong? If you're a God-fearing, tax-paying American, you should have a valid driver's license. We're going to get all that mess. So if that happens and it does get voted in, then we got to do stuff like help people who don't have access to state IDs to go get one, help them go get one, get them to the DMV. This is huge for the reservation as well. Like they don't always have access to be able to get certain kinds of IDs. The IDs that they get are different, and won't be valid here, according to what Kimmer just said. So there's a lot. Christy Norris says, so a quick Google search says the white party started in the 80s when AIDS was disseminating the gay population. I think they went back further than that. I remember hearing about white parties in the 60s. So they keep on putting different reasons on the white parties. I know I'm jumping around.
Telling you. You asked where it came from. You asked why it started. I told you why it started. I don't know why they keep doing it, but I told you why it started.
All right. I don't know. But anyway, yeah. So the voter ID thing is like there's still other ways to fight that. She says, is state ID free? That's the other thing. No, I don't think it's a free thing. It's not a free thing. It's still like $10 or however much it is to get your ID.
It is $29.
Okay, so that's one of the problems right there. So you shouldn't have to pay $29 to vote.
And that's kind of the big thing. That's actually that is the biggest thing that I've heard, and why this is being looked at as voter suppression, because it essentially equates as a poll tax. Now you have to pay $30 to vote.
Poll tax.
It's a poll tax. Whether you're paying for the state ID or you're paying for the driver's license. Regardless, you have to pay to get that thing. So therefore, you have to pay for something in order to vote, which means you have to pay to vote, which is unconstitutional. Also, I'm looking at the requirements. There's only 3 requirements. It's not a lot. On the surface, not very unreasonable. You have to have proof that you're a U.S. citizen, have to have a principal address in Nebraska. At least 2 documents are required. And also, applicants must disclose their valid social security number, which is fair. But I'm thinking about the homeless population or people who might be floating from couch to couch. Like, if I don't have an address, and we already talked about how hard it is to secure housing. If I don't have an address, I can't get an ID. If I don't have an ID, I can't vote. So again, this is voter suppression.
Yeah, it affects people. It affects people that don't have the certain privileges, certain abilities to be able to do that. It just leaves a whole swath of the population out, and they want to do that any way they can. This is a very easy one. Like I told that story one time when I went to the Malcolm X Memorial Foundation, what used to be my neighborhood association, where the polls were, and somebody and a white lady was sitting there and asked me for my ID. I pulled it out, and showed it to her, and then as I'm putting it back in my pocket, like, wait, you shouldn't ask me that. But it's such an easy thing, I'm at the store, I'm at the bar, everywhere. It said, pull out your ID, and you just pull it out and show them, it ain't no thing. Mm-hmm. And plus, I got a driver's license, so it ain't no thing to me. But that's a lot of these people have signed that petition. A lot of people will vote for this because they're thinking it ain't no thing. And it shouldn't be no thing for you to come in and show your ID somewhere and blah blah blah. But they're not thinking about other people at all, and how it might make it hard or impossible for other people to vote. That especially the people that kind of need to, like disenfranchised people, homeless people. What happens with the Native American vote? What happens? I'm saying, like, there's a lot that messes with this. So it's on the ballot now. The only action to take now is to vote against it, and so spread the word, I guess.
Yeah, and a reminder, this isn't something that Ricketts, as Precious said, Ricketts' mom put some money in on. She didn't just drop $5,000-$10,000. She paid for 80-90% of this whole thing. Hundreds of thousands of dollars were spent on this, which is just a drop in the bucket for them.
Billionaire
paid for this
family, right?
Right. She didn't just donate towards this; she paid for it.
That's crazy.
So,
yep. Give us your thoughts if you have any more on that. In the meantime, we'll go ahead and switch gears real quick. 8:42 right now. If you believe in the concept of time, once upon a time called right now. What's going on?
Man. Oh, well, I did want to dive into this latest article from Princess Leia Cates in the Reader. Big shout out to Brother Vaughn Chapman for dropping this into the chat or dropping this into the Friends of First Sky Omaha page, talking about a study looking at how poverty affects child's brain development, which is quite interesting. And it looks like this is a national study that is tapping Omaha as a part of its study. Emerging studies suggest kids like Katina, who is talked about in this article, grew up in poverty, are more likely to experience delays in brain growth and development that hamper academic achievement and executive functioning, such as focusing on tasks and controlling impulses. And according to a 2016 Duke University article, The brains of kids growing up in poverty are similar to those of kids who have been physically abused. So just imagine the cognitive, health of a child who is both being physically abused and growing up in poverty. Preschool age U.S. children living in poverty are likely to have cognitive scores on average 60% lower than kids in the highest socioeconomic group, even though at birth their brains work similarly. These differences translate into material life outcomes. People who grow up in poverty in the U.S. are 5 times more likely to drop out of high school. They are less likely to earn college degrees and more likely to be poor when they grow up. The cycle that keeps on continuing. Again, preliminary results of baby first years, which is the name of the study, suggest that when low-income moms receive unconditional cash benefits on a predictable monthly basis, their baby's brain activity may be positively impacted. They also revealed that even though mothers can spend the money on anything, they mentally designate it for their child. If the findings continue to bear out, there's a chance they could affect public policy, including expanding cash assistance programs down the road, which is definitely something that we've been seeing playing out with the COVID funds, again continuing to follow the money. Remember, the Reader issued that article or reported that there's still millions of dollars in rental assistance that's not being given out, and that's kind of the mentality or the essence behind that, is that people in need aren't going to spend it on what they need it on. Like the feeling that people in need are going to blow it on just crap, which is not right, which is not the case. People in need, when they get, usually when they get funds that they need, they're going to spend it on what they need.
Yeah, I've been noticing this year. I've been really on this whole idea of this kind of issue where they try to act like your parent when it comes to this. Just if people ask them for help, then just give them the help and let them use what they need to use and do what they need to do. They know better about their life than Pete Ricketts and people that are trying to explain to you about how it is you're supposed to be living. It's just kind of ridiculous. So excuse me. So yeah, that's more of that, more of this parental. What do they call it? I can't remember what the word is, but it's kind of been a running theme all this whole year. Really, is when it comes to the prison systems, when it comes to how they try and dole out this money, when it comes to any kind of aid. It's they think they know better than the people who need the help, and it's really ridiculous.
It's funny you say that, because that's what I was going to mention when Sister Kimra was talking about Douglas County and how they're handling the money and how they didn't decide to go to public input until they themselves disagreed. And I wanted to speak. We have some people that listen to this show that's running for office. We have some people that's serving in office, and I find it funny that the mentality of elected officials, and it just kind of seemed to me, as Kimra was explaining it seemed like these elected officials feel like, oh, people voted me in, I'm important, I'm the person with all the ideas, I should be making the decision because people chose me to make the decision. It's like, no, we chose you to listen to us.
Yeah.
And the senators who do the good job, the senators who get the fanfare, who get the love, are the ones who are actually listening, not trying to make arbitrary decisions.
And even the ones even what really makes a proper politician is when they are listening to their constituents and they're voting in the way the constituents want, even if it's against what they want personally, which you hardly ever see.
Yeah.
The word that I was looking for is paternalism.
Yes.
And I'm going to put this definition in the chat: the policy or practice on the part of people in positions of authority of restricting the freedom and responsibilities of those subordinate to them in the subordinate's supposed best interests.
Man, word of the day.
Paternalism is like it has been a running theme all year long in so many different things that we've been talking about, and it has infuriated me in every instance. I got a daddy. I have parents. I do not need other people telling me if I get to the position where I got to ask for some aid, you better not be trying to act like you're going to tell me what to do with it. Like I know better than Pete Ricketts what my situation is. Kim Reynolds, who wants to try to act like the safety, she made that famous statement, the safety net is turning into a hammock, because they think, oh, they're going to run around and spend money on weed and malt liquor and not
vacations.
Right. And there's the statements that come out like, how is it that you need aid when you have an iPhone, and stuff like that, they are judging your life, and they're doing it in this paternalistic way, and it's real ridiculous.
Man, that's a great word, Paul. It's a great word.
Thanks, man. I appreciate that. I mean, really, when you think about all the stuff that we've ever talked about when it comes to the jail system, it's the paternalism also includes punishment. It includes punitive stuff, like how your parents punish you for deeds that you've done wrong. And it's not that's not the reason why most people are in jail, is not for any kind of rehabilitation. It's because they're being punished, which is another thing that comes from this whole paternalistic attitude. I mean, it's all over the place. It's a theme. So, when you think about it, it's like the classic fight for control of your own life. It's the classic, like, you're trying to break away from your parents and make your own decisions. And like, when you think about what Kimmer's doing in neighborhood associations and don't be the parents that are upstairs in the bedroom having the conversation and ain't involving the rest of the family about the fact that we all about to move to a different state, and don't say nothing until we pack up the car. Like,
nepotism.
Right. Yeah. Ron's Reviews, nepotism, part of that. I mean, they all are in cahoots. So anyway, not trying to go too much farther on that, but
and that, ladies and gentlemen, was Paul Bee's soapbox moment.
Soapboxing. Hey. Yeah. So it is what it is, man. And so watch out for this. Watch out for this. I'm seeing that this is a theme. This is kind of like an overall feeling that I get from what us being in this red state means. Being policed, having choices, people making choices about you and your life and what you're supposed to be doing, as if you can't make your own.
And that's why First Sky Omaha exists.
That's why we're here.
Yeah, man. Let's have the conversations. Give a voice to the voiceless. Let your mind be free. Let your voice be heard. What say you? Drop your comments into the chat. Let us know what's on your mind. And do you agree? Do you disagree? What are your thoughts? Just about 10 minutes left in this thing.
Mm-hmm. What we want to do a little lightning round?
Yeah. We actually got through most of the stories today, but we can go through the last few of them. And actually, we got a little haps. Big shout out to Camera, for Sister Camera, for dropping some dates and things on us. And we'll kick off this lightning round with an event that's coming up that's actually tied to the St. Francis story we kicked off today's show with. There will actually be a town hall giving an update on exactly what's going on with the management of the city of Omaha, the metro area child welfare cases. Again, the state of Nebraska has taken over those cases from St. Francis Ministries, whose contract just ended at the end of June. And now there will be a town hall and an opportunity for the community to ask questions, to see exactly what's going on with the transition. That will go on from 6 to 7:30 p.m. at the Goodwill Apex Training Center. That's near 72nd and Ames. Again, that's the Goodwill Apex Training Center. That's from 6 to 7:30 p.m. So again, if you would like more information on the St. Francis Ministries child welfare situation, that will be your opportunity.
What's up?
Also happening in other news.
2.5 then is what you're saying. Is that where we're at?
I mean, it's kind of a story that we had. So it's like it's a happening. It's a story that's happening.
It's a story that's happening. Got it.
It's news. There's timeliness to news. So this in other news, we did talk about also the voter ID, but also minimum wage. I wanted to reiterate that minimum wage is also making its way to the Nebraska November ballot. So definitely, again, make sure we are staying on top of not just the positions, the seats that's open, but what are the ballot initiatives making their way again to November. So remember, no for voter ID, yes for minimum wage. No for voter ID, yes for minimum wage.
And cannabis didn't make it to the ballot at all.
Yes, cannabis did not make it to the ballot. So the fight for medical marijuana in the state of Nebraska, which Paul says will be the last state to get it done, still continues.
So far, I'm still right.
Yeah, man. So far, holding true to your call, man. So yeah. And then finally, and this is something we've also been talking about and looking into. A shout out to Omaha World Herald for dropping this article. Maybe they're listening. Maybe. But again, talking about lead cleanup in yards across the Omaha metro area continues and has been for the last 20 years. Soil has been replaced in more than 13,000 Omaha yards, and hundreds of millions of dollars have been spent on this effort. And when the EPA undertook the project, it described Omaha as one of the nation's top environmental priorities. Again, the level of lead is a serious issue. So again, we just talked about the impact of poverty on mental health, but also lead in those high poverty areas on top of some of the abuses that these children face. And you can kind of see the compound issues that they might be dealing with. So again, lead cleanup in the community still continues, and one of the many issues plaguing the community.
Yep.
And that does it. That's the end of the lightning round.
Ooh, lightning round.
Yeah.
That'll work for a lightning round. Let's go ahead and officially jump into the
haps.
The haps. It's all happening. First of all, it's all happening. Like you said, it's all happening.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep. Ladies and gentlemen, time for the haps. Time for us to talk about some things that's going on in the community that you might want to check out, and some things that you can let us know about as well. Lots going on with the Black Agenda Alliance these days. I tell you what, them cats right there are doing some things. Matter of fact, let me see if I can go back to the events, read off a couple. September 17th, they got the BAA community cleanup. That's the thing that they're doing over there with the new the acreage that they purchased. And I want you to come out and help clean some of that up for them and take care of that whole area as well. So we'll definitely put the information on where that is, the BAA community land cleanup. Here's the brothers out there standing on the land, man. That's what I'm talking about. Yep. And they this ain't no land bank land. They purchased this land. This is what's up. And they, unlike some of our politicians, want some outreach from the community on what to do with it, how to all take care of it, and how to keep it for the north side. So shout out to Black Agenda Alliance. They also are doing a paintball war on September 18th at 10 a.m. at Husker Paintball and Airsoft Adventures. So if you're into that, go check that out. Sunday, September 18th at 10 a.m. Paintball war held by the Black Agenda Alliance. Go on and check them out. Husker Paintball and Airsoft Adventures. And so yeah, they got some events coming up, man. I'm anxious to check out what's going on with them for real.
Man, shout out to the brothers and sisters with the BAA.
Man,
get down.
They be getting down.
Yeah,
also, real quick, I finally got the right flyer here for the talk on the September 21st. Shout out to Terrell McKinney, Brother Senator Terrell McKinney. Put some respect on his name. He put this out there for us to be able to make sure that we are there at 5 p.m. September 21st, so we can talk about these things. We can talk about what's going on with the ARPA funds, and this is the ARPA public hearing update. There's one happening on September 21st, 5 p.m. in North Omaha Public Schools Teacher Administrative Center Auditorium on 3215 Cummings Street. Also Thursday, September 22nd at Metropolitan Community College over there at MCC Swanson Conference Center building. And then also in South Omaha on the 19th and on the 20th at Metropolitan Community College, the South Campus. If you're over there on South and you can get to those, then go check those out. If you can get to all of them, check them all out.
Yeah.
In a real way. So let's definitely do that. This is what we've been gearing up towards and talking about this whole time. The public input on what to do with the $450 million coming into the north and south side, and what we're going to do with it. And we want to hear some stuff. We also want to put our input in as well. And if you have ideas and things that you want to apply for, it's time to get your stuff straight so you can go do that and take advantage of these things that'll help build especially commerce and stuff in our community, which we really need.
Man,
so first step is to definitely go here and take in this information and also put some of your input in that information in this information information ecosystem as well. Excuse me. So yeah, definitely check that out. We'll leave this up on Friends of First Sky Omaha for you to check out. Make sure that you make those dates. Anything else you got going on, bro?
Well, there are a few things. If you're in a gospel rap, there is an event coming up, the We Up Next youth concert and dance competition. So if you want to support the youth, support some of our gospel acts out there. Andre Wright, who's a local gospel act doing some big things. Also, national acts like D1, Indie Tribe, and Click Full of Stars will be performing as well. This is going down at the Mid-America Center. That's Saturday, September 24th. So that's coming up in a few weeks. So definitely, support our local acts. Also coming up, support the ladies, man. We're all about the ladies. Well-Read Women of Omaha. They're throwing an event for the Culture Book Fair. Again, reading is fundamental. We're all about digging into some good reads here at First Sky Omaha. This will also go down at the Culture House. Big shout out to Marcy and the whole team at the Culture House. This will be September 24th as well, from 2 to 6, again at the Culture House for the Culture Book Fair. So get out and do some reading. I believe the farmers markets are still going as well, so make sure we're getting some fresh produce. Omaha Farmers Market in Exarban is going down on Sunday, and then they have the Old Market Farmers Market going down on Saturday. So again, definitely make sure as the weekend comes up, we're getting some fresh produce, getting some fresh food for the soul.
Most definitely. Go check out the Facebook page of Culture House. They actually got a lot of events happening, like Culture House Poetry Club is going down. Youth poetry is happening very soon. Art battle, right? There's so many things going on. Lottie's Bodies, even. Definitely check some of this stuff out that's going on over there. Go to Culture House at CULXR House and check them out and see what's going on. They always got a lot of good stuff. Meantime, between time, it's 9:00. We will continue these haps on Friday. Appreciate everybody that has joined us today. Buddy, you got some words for the people?
Man, as always, love and appreciate all the first-time listeners, last-time listeners, chat chimers, ghost listeners, everybody that experienced this with us. We definitely thank you and appreciate you. Also, big shout out to the ladies, the dynamic duo, for coming through, making Women's Wednesday what it is. Politicin with P, what's good in the hood. Again, Precious McKesson, Kimra Snipes, we appreciate you. We thank you. We love you. And until next time, Paul B. Yo, take it away.
Right on. I want to thank everybody for joining us in the chat. Pop says, great show as always. Love you guys and appreciate you more than you know. Appreciate you too, Pops. Love you.
Thank you.
Yes. Everybody who's chiming into the chat hung with us to the end. If you have missed parts of the show because you were in and out, you can definitely go back to Facebook right now and check out the show in its entirety. You can also go to YouTube and do the same thing. And it's actually on Twitter as well. If you're over there, you need to check out parts of the show, go check it out again. Very soon, that whole thing will go away. So pretty soon we're working out some things now where we're going to not be holding the previous shows on the social media channel. They'll be on the channel that we are building as First Sky Omaha, and you'll have to go there to see them. So right now they're there. Definitely go check them out if you hadn't seen the shows in its entirety. Definitely dig into some of the stuff that Kimra Snipes was talking about, because she really digs into that data, man, and it's there for you right there. So definitely check it out. Want to give a shout out to them, Precious McKesson, Kimra Snipes. Put some respect on their names. Thank you so much for coming on through. Carolyn Jack says, great show. Appreciate you.
Thank you.
Josh Tate says, great show. Wasn't chiming, but sure listen. Thank you. Thanks for all you do. Thank you, man. Appreciate you very much. Thanks for definitely tuning in and being a part of what we got going on here. I want to give thanks to the Omaha tribe elders for allowing us to be on this land and speak while we're here. Once again, if somebody knows how to actually pronounce that right, because I'm sure I'm butchering it now that I've seen this sign. Somebody was thanking the state of Omaha, of Nebraska, for putting the sign up that actually had the actual pronunciation of the tribe. And so now I'm looking at it like I'm probably saying it wrong. But I want to give a shout out to the Omaha tribe elders, Unmanhan tribe elders. Yeah, I think maybe we'll see. Somebody that knows, let me know. But shout out to them for letting us be on this land and speak while we're here, allowing us to be here. Shout out to our elders for allowing us to speak before them. Shout out to all of you, the chat chimers. Really, really appreciate the chat chimers. Oh, Christy Norris says, when is Buddy coming to town?
This weekend. This weekend, I will be there. I'll get in tomorrow, but I'm gonna spend some time with the fam and things like that. But yes, we will be live from Omaha on Friday.
That's right. So
this weekend,
live from Omaha on Friday, and we will absolutely be putting something together, maybe for the weekend, a little kickback, you know how we do. So stay tuned for that, because we definitely want to hang out with Buddy while he's in town for sure. Appreciate you bringing that up, Christy. That's what's happening. Shout out to everybody who is a reoccurring member or sponsor of the channel as well. We really appreciate that. We have $10 members, $25 members, $50 members, and we really appreciate every dollar that you spend with us. That goes back into making this continue, this very important conversation that we were having with you continue. And a lot of people are paying attention to it, because not a lot of people are doing these kinds of deep dive conversations on the news right now. And the more we do it, the more we're understanding that is our lane. And it's all because of you, the chat chimers, and you, the ghost listeners. Really appreciate all of you for making this happen. We'll get out of here. Yeah, thank you. Really, thank you so much. Bless you. Thank you. We will see you Friday, when we will definitely have a more extensive haps and some more stories and things to come. So get your haps together for Friday. Let us know what's going on, and we should have some decisions on where the kickback's going to be and what we're going to do on that Friday show as well. And don't forget, Buddy will be in town. We'll be live somewhere together for that one.
It's going down. It's going down.
Going down. In the meantime, between time, have a good one. Take care of yourselves. We'll see you Friday. Peace.
By the way, Vanglorious, this is protected by the red, the black, and the green